No different than our state government, the governing body, or our federal government, amending and changing laws to bring them up to date. So that's what I'm saying. I believe that we as a city and the city government, the council, we need to address this problem and we need to bring it up to date, because commuting in this day and time is a normal way of life. And I do not want us to lock us in as a city, lock us into where we're not able to bring in the most qualified person. And I think that that's huge. But most especially, I don't want us to have to terminate 3 to 4 people because of this old law as well. So I think that we also need to understand that the custom or the policy, practices and customs is going to be huge if we do not listen to what our attorney said, because there has been a practice established here, and it's been on for 5 to 6 years now, or longer.
When a chief has been relieved, retired, and moved on, when Bobby Brown left, who moved in his position? Is that what we're talking about when we're talking about customs?
No, so we're talking about the hiring practices of department heads and chiefs.
You said customs. You brought the word customs
Practices and customs.
And customs. And we're talking about customarily what has happened in this police department when a chief of police leaves. And I can start naming down the line. When Bobby Brown left, somebody knew who took his place.
That's right.
Who took his place?
The assistant chief.
When Joe Thomas left.
The assistant chief.
Remember, we talking about customs and what customarily has happened. So now, when you brought that in, that's why I asked you a question. If that's what you meant to just talk about, what has been the customs and what's been the practice of the police department since when a chief leaves, who customarily comes in and take over? And that's my question. And I'm not trying to put down, I'm not getting at nobody, but if we're going to talk about practices and customs, that's just one question I have.
Well, I could answer that very easily. The past administration, whenever they hired an interim chief of police, they went outside the city limits to Phoenix, Arizona, to get that one. So, I think what we're needing here is a definition of customs. But the point is that is the law. We have established a practice and custom here since 2007. We have broken our own laws since 2007, and maybe a little before that. We've broken our own city laws by the different people that the past administrations have hired. And that's what we're saying today is we need to stop that part of it. We recognize it now, and we need to stop it. We need to make a change. We need to amend, repeal, whatever it may be. But we need to do that. We need to bring the two together, because there has been a practice applied to both ordinances. And so that's what we need to do as a governing body. Yes, sir.
The customarily in the last 3 or 4 chiefs that's left, we've had interim chiefs. It wasn't the assistant chiefs.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mayor Hollingsworth, when Collier Hill was brought in and the others, we did not have an assistant chief. We had 4 deputy chiefs. That's the difference. The reason the interim was brought in.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is that Alderman Brown?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Very good. I keep hearing the word Collier Hill as an example for you. And if I understand that Collier Hill was from Arizona, he's a prior or previous Pine Bluff resident, but he had moved out in Arizona. And if it is my understanding that it's very hard for a man to serve as interim in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and drive home to Arizona every day. So he had to have some kind of residence here during the time. And when he came here, he said, "I'm not here for the permanent job." He was hired as an interim. And he had permanent residence at that time. He couldn't just, I'm finna go to Arizona. I'm leaving here tonight. I'm going to Arizona. I'll be back in the morning. So he had permanent residence in Jefferson County, excuse me. And of course, I cannot believe that the people in this audience and anybody else that would have us to break the law. They tell us that ignorance of the law is no excuse. I cannot believe that we want to sit here in this room and think that we should break the law because somebody else broke the law.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't make sense to me. That's clearly doesn't. I mean, we're trying to make it be right to break the law because somebody else did it. We all ought to be locked up if that's what we want to do. We should all be locked up.
Okay. Yes,
Thank you.
I will say that the definition of residency requirement, if I'm correct on this, is that your voter's registration has to be moved along with your receiving your mail. So that's part of establishing a
We didn't pay
residency.
Kaya Hill finances and drive a vehicle back and forth to Arizona.
I'm not sure
Thank you.
what that was, but I do know he did not move his voter's registration or his mail to here. And that's two of the requirements that's necessary. So, any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Mayor, I'd like to just say, I think when it comes to emergency personnel, police chief, fire chief, that they ought to live within the city. But others may vary or may differ. You know, I just want to say, you know, it could bring hardship on some just in case this ordinance we got out here do pass. I just see one issue in it that stands out to me immediately, you know, termination or whatever. I think if it do pass, we should come back and have something in place for these people to have at least 6 months or so to make a decision or make a move or whatever, if it come down to that. That'll give them the opportunity to decide whether they want to move into the city or seek employment elsewhere, and they know they won't have to do it tomorrow or next week.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Alderman Blunt.
Mayor, we've kind of like beat the dead horse almost to death. We've talked about this spent several weeks of lots of meetings, executive sessions, and so on. As I said at the administration committee the other day, I really believe that we ought to rescind or take away ordinance number 5863 about the residency requirement. I think it's the only solution to the problem. I said that in the administration committee because I was on the council when the previous administration hired 3 different people that I can think of right off the bat. And I actually said something to the mayor at that time, but I was convinced, as I think most of us were, that he was hiring the best people that were available. They didn't live in the city, but he hired what I felt like, and I agreed with him, were the best candidates that he had at the time. And it's kind of, it doesn't look right for us to jump on this now when we didn't back then.
Right. That's true.
So that's the real issue that I have, and I think customs and practices, and everybody's got opinions, and that's fine, but I just really think that the practices and customs have already been set, that I hope that my suggestion has been from the beginning to rescind ordinance number 5863 involving residency, and let's move on and allow the administration the opportunity to hire the best people for whatever job comes up in the future with our city. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Spence.
Thank you, Mayor Hollingsworth. It wouldn't be so bad if you hadn't advised her and was on her committee. And here's my point. You knew this.
Yes, sir.
And you have served on this council longer than any of us. You knew that ordinance was out there. Alderman Hollingsworth, Mayor Hollingsworth didn't know. But you advised her, and you knew it was wrong before. And you knew what the practices had been. When were you going to say, when will we stop and get it right? And see, that question is going to loom out there because you're sitting up there on her advisory committee. And I'm not trying to put you down for that, but what I'm saying, I understood that you served as an advisor to her in the appointment of the interim chief.
No,
Now,
sir. No, sir, that is not correct.
well,
No,
I
that's
got
not
that
correct.
from you now.
What?
I got that from you, man. Now, if I'm wrong, then I apologize for it. But I got that information from you. You told me 4 people that served on that advisory committee to you, and Alderman Bruntman was one of them.
We had a review committee in which the review committee, we went over a couple of resumes, and with the review committee, we had a scoring or a rating as to how we rated each applicant or each person that was doing the interview. And that was quite similar to how we did it with the Civil Service Commission. Each person submitted a score after each interview. And from that score, we had someone to tabulate that, not me, and hand me the score. So no particular person recommended or gave me any indication as to what I should or should not do. It was an accumulated score of 5 people that served on this review committee.
My question is, was he one of them?
Yes, sir, he was one of them.
I was also when Mayor Reedus selected the last police chief. I was on the committee that advised him, that gave him scores on those people. And so I, as a senior member and a member of the Public Safety Committee, it just seemed like a natural place to go would be somebody that's had experience with what's been going on and so on, and I appreciated the opportunity and to be involved in it.
That's like with the transition committee that we had. Alderman Holcomb, Brummett served on it, and then also did Alderwoman Holcomb. We had outgoing senior council member and incoming senior council member to help with the transition so that we'd have a good flow to it and have the information that we needed. So it was a good balance. To say that that Alderman Brummett was up to speed with the ordinances, we certainly thought that we were by what was showing on the website and the different places that we went to. And I think that's part of the problems that we've got within the city. We have many older ordinances that might need to be reviewed. And I'm not saying that any one person here is wrong. What I'm saying is that we have 2 conflicting ordinances regarding residency requirements that need to be changed.
Could I ask you one question, if you don't mind? Did I also offer my support and suggestion to you concerning those ordinances? I told you, and I told you at the time, I said, I'm not trying to usurp your authority. I said, but you got these conflicts. You got them out there. I said, and there's a problem with trying to hire an interim chief that doesn't live here in the city. Now, I shared that information with you because now you can accept it, and you did exactly what you wanted to do. You could accept it or you could leave it. But I wanted to put it out there so at least you would have that information in the event that somebody didn't tell you. But I wanted to tell you because I'm not against you on this council. You were elected by the people, and we were all elected. And as I shared with you before, there'll be not a time that I'll ever disrespect you in no shape, form, or fashion. But I think that we got to communicate, and I was trying to communicate with you because I knew that where we are now is where we were going to get to when we didn't have the proper communication, and I didn't want you to get here and to have named somebody and we be here like we are right now. And that's the reason that I shared that information with you. Now it looks as though that we are here and we're trying to cause confusion in this city. That's not the case. And we might as well admit it This is not the case. You might look at some of us and saying, well, you sponsor this, you sponsor that. But we got to tell the truth. That's what's going to get us back where we need to be. We got to be honest and truthful with one another. And that's the thing that confuses me. That's one of the reasons I sponsor this, because there's no conflict between these ordinances according to the legal counsel. There's no conflict.
The conflict, I believe, comes from the fact that from past administration, that we do have at present 3 department heads that have been hired against the old ordinance. They have been hired and they are right now serving as a head of a department that is against our own law. That is a fact. Okay, that is a fact. The second fact is we have a law on the books that states that anyone that is a uniformed police officer, the residency requirement is within the state of Arkansas. Those are 2 laws. And the one law in which is the latter one was used to hire 2 people. So, yes, we've got some problems here. We need to address the problems. And that's where we are right now. We need to address the old law because right now, the city is liable for practices and customs because the city has allowed it to go on. And that's just, it's got to be fixed.
So what do you think is gonna happen, that you said practice and customs?
Yes,
What do you
sir.
think is gonna happen if we do what we're doing? I wanna hear that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will not be a party to it because I know that we're breaking the law.
Let me just say this. I understand that you're saying that the people that are going to be affected, and that's what you constantly keep saying. And I just want to say Brendan Davis-Jones was affected. Possibly 4 other deputy chiefs are going to be affected because they want to better their lives for their families. So you have affected those people in your hire. We just want to do it right. We just want to do it right.
I didn't hire them. You did.
Now, what I'm saying is, you're thinking about the ones that are already presently employed. I'm talking about the ones that you affected by your appointment. You're going to affect those lives also. You've affected Brenda Davis-Jones. She doesn't have a job, and at least 4 of the other deputies may decide to sue because they don't get an opportunity.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Mayor Hollingsworth.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that the fact that our city attorney has said that the law has been violated is being completely overlooked. And we have a city attorney that was elected by the people, the same as we have. And once it's done, you can't change the law to fix it. It's done. We have to move forward. And as far as the past administration is concerned, he's not here anymore. And probably because of his practice is the reason he's not here. So we can't deal with him.
We can amend the law.
No, but that's not what's on the table.
Well, okay, let's go ahead.
We have an ordinance
Resolution on the table.
resolution on the table.
Okay.
That's what we need to
Why don't we
deal
go ahead
with.
and call for a vote? Yes, roll call.
Alderman Brumman,
This is voting on the resolution.
Voting for.
Alderman Eastman,
No.
Alderman Stamp,
Yes.
Alderwoman Walker,
Yes.
Alderman Boyd.
One more quick question here. Did we talk about giving the people the extended time if this goes on?
We're voting
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
resolution
yeah,
as it
right.
is. The resolution.
Okay, yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Alderman Mays,
No.
Alderman Hope.
No.
44? 44? Is that right? Okay. Okay. I'm voting against it. Okay. Guys for, okay. Guys for lack of, okay.
Okay, let's move on then to number,
Wait, before we move on, what happens to this law? What happens? We just gonna move on like it never happened?
We
Go
have
back to
an
normal,
city
yes.
attorney.
Yeah, okay.
What happens
Ask me a
to,
question. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
what happens to it when it dies?
So let me just say this.
It no longer exists at this point, and the current law as it is what should be enforced.
So the
Which one is that?
resolution,
Well, in my opinion, I think that the residency requirement is the valid law that supersedes the other law, so
Okay.
that's what should be enforced.
which one?
2-123.
Okay.
So one more comment. So everybody's saying that, and this whole thing is about the chief of police. So then he just need to go down and arrest us all, right? We violate the law.
No, but the law that's prevailing is 58, 63, section 2-123. Is that what she said?
That's an opinion.
That's what the attorney said.
That's her opinion.
It's my opinion, and I did consult with the municipal league lawyer, Marquez, as it relates to this particular issue, and he agreed with my opinion without any reservation. What he said was...
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
I did consult with our municipal league attorney, Marquez, regarding this issue, and he agreed with my opinion. What he suggested was that either the ordinance be repealed or that there's some amendment made to it. But the opinion that I have given you is a correct opinion. He also indicated that because the opinion was, as it relates to the language between the two different ordinances, you have one ordinance that's general in nature, you have one that's specific in nature. So specific nature, the ordinance that is specific in nature is most likely, if you go to court on this issue, that it will prevail. That's where it is.
Thank you.
You know,
But how did he speak to practices and customs with regards to this?
Same thing as I said previously, as it relates to practices and customs, he indicated that you don't want to, the city does not want to be in a position where it does not abide by its law. That's why the law needs to be amended. And he indicated that to me, it needs to be amended so we don't continue down this path. The only way to amend it is through the council. Otherwise, it's going to require that the people that are currently existing in these positions as director and the interim chief, that they be terminated as stated in the ordinance.
And that's what I said in the administration committee meeting the other day, that I intend to bring a new ordinance to amend and put those two together somehow or another.
Okay, okay.
They
Alderman,
got to work on that.
yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I just want to say that it's a sad day that there are some people want to ignore what the city attorney said because it's not what they want to hear. It doesn't matter whether it's what you want to hear or not. It's the law, and she is an elected official
And I love
and an attorney.
We have a
Which
resolution
you not.
declaring certain houses, buildings, and structures as nuisances in Oregon and everybody.
Whereas the city council has determined that the structure is located on the
Move for
property.
adoption.
We have an amendment here. Yeah, we have a couple of houses that come off